So GMAT is paramount in the admission criteria, just as how every business school would want to, access GMAT to identify the potential students. So in SMU MBA, GMAT is one of the main criteria. I'll say that it took 60% of the admission. So the remaining 40% is really the experience, as well as the ability that you are able to structure yourself. That comes in the format of interview.
I think GMAT is a very important part of the application process, not just for the grade, but most importantly because it sort of simulates the experience that you will be having as an MBA student. So I think to go that way, especially as a part-timer, and study for the GMAT and take the test, really prepares you for what's coming later on.
GMAT is a very fundamentally important link in the application work, and it will prove that whether you have enough capacity to finish your MBA program. And another important point is, if you can get a high GMAT score, it will give you a better confidence to finish the work following, such as the essays and the interview.
As an Indian applicant, I think GMAT forms one of the key components because students from India tend to have a higher GMAT score, and I think having a higher GMAT is not just, it's basically a necessity for an Indian applicant.
The GMAT is very important. I recommend spending a solid amount of time studying and a very good amount of time going into the test, understanding the process, and eventually getting into business school is a huge part of it.
Getting a good GMAT score is the first step of getting into a good business school. Preparing for GMAT not only prepares you for what you will learn in school, but it hones the discipline and sets the focused mindset you will need once you are immersed into the program.
In my perspective, GMAT score, I can say GMAT score is really important when you apply to business school, but I can also say this is not the only criterion that admin office evaluate yourself, which means this admin office will focus more on yourself in terms of how much you can contribute to the MBA course based on your previous work experience or your work experience or your cultural background.
GMAT score is definitely important, but I think it's just a basis. You just need to get an good enough score. I think it should be fine for the application.
According to me, it's very critical. I think it's one of the first things which you do when you're applying for MBA schools. I find that GMAT is holistic. It captures the holistic qualitative and quantitative skills of the applicants. And if you have a good GMAT score, it generally becomes really easy when you're applying for a top-notch school. So GMAT, definitely. If you crack it, it's really good.
Well, GMAT is very important because it's a prerequisite condition. In order to enroll MBA, you need to have a sufficient GMAT score, around 600 at least. And it provides those with no mathematics background a fundamental quantitative knowledge, which are necessary to pursue MBA.
Oh, well, I must say the GMAT is a prerequisite to even applying for the MBA, right? So, but above and beyond just being a prerequisite, I think having taken the GMAT, I think it is really interesting, and it really shapes your mind in allowing you to understand where are your strengths and weaknesses, and I think that is more important learning out of taking a GMAT. And I think I should encourage people to even take it, even though they may not be going for the MBA.